Good morning, and thank you for joining me for another session of Wise Woman's Words. So today I have with an incredible woman, and she is just a force to be reckoned with. I can't believe how fortunate I am to have such incredible women that I have been able to come across along my path and my journey. And for me, it's bringing these women to you for the reason is when we share our stories, maybe there's something that you hear in their stories and their journeys that you can pick that can help you with in your life. And I believe it's so important that we have to sit back and listen because it's from that we learn. So today I'm going to introduce to you a woman. She is known by Diamond Diva. Yes, Diamond Diva is an American publicist, model, celebrity host, investor, international keynote speaker, brand ambassador, actress, casting director, writer, producer, philanthropist, women's empowerment champion, entrepreneur, mindset coach, and oh my God, so much more. I can go on forever with this introduction, but I'm not going to delay it anymore. Let's talk to Diamond Diva and let's find out all about her and who she really is. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to meet you. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. And thank you so much, Glenda, for the opportunity to share. And, when I looked into what you're doing here by empowering women, entrepreneurs, people literally of all walks of life through their stories, I thought I could not wait to be here and share mine and just learn from you as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So, when I read through and been watching and doing my own little investigating of finding out who this Diamond Diva is, I'm just so blown away. But we all know, through life, it's not that it's just that we all of a sudden become that person or all of a sudden we jet to that. I try to explain to people and through my coaching as well that, through life, we're all hit with obstacles, but it's how we get through those obstacles that really count. And when we get pushed down, we still need to have that courage to push us up. So please share with us your story, some of your obstacles that you've done, and then what you're doing now, because I'm just blown away by your stories and what you have accomplished. So please share.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to share. And, just like you said, this journey that we're on, things don't just happen overnight. It's a process. And all the things that happen in our lives truly happen for us and not to us. And my life is certainly an example of that. I started my career in entertainment. Hence the experience that you shared today with modeling. I did some acting as well, and I really enjoy being on the stage and entertaining in that fashion. That career brought me here to Atlanta, Georgia, where I currently reside. And I've done some really exciting things here in Atlanta. I did Atlanta Fashion Week. I did a series of covers of magazines for fashion and runway shows. And, I really enjoyed that career. During that time, I met my college sweetheart while studying for my master's degree in business. And we married and had three beautiful baby boys, Christian, Dale, Isaac. And in a lot of ways, we had that picture perfect, ideal family. I continue at that point to work in corporate while modeling in HR and training and development, and really enjoyed that career and really pushed myself to get to the highest positions possible in that journey. But here's the thing. Like you said, you run into some things along the way. And what I found was I actually hit the glass ceiling in my entertainment career. I wanted to go international. I want to be on the runways in Paris and Milan and doing all those great things that I looked up to, like people Naomi Campbell and others who I really admired and wanted to follow the path of. Hit that glass ceiling and found that wasn't my path. And I began to be discouraged in that way. I also wanted to be in the C-suite. I was looking forward to getting those six-figure salaries, having that corner office and corporate. And even though I was a high performer, I completed my master's, I, produced at the top levels in all my organizations. I was passed over multiple times for promotion. Again, hitting that glass ceiling. But what I will tell you was really the biggest block for me was when I hit the glass ceiling, if you will, in my marriage, in my relationship. My husband literally walked out on me and our three young boys leave me now as a single mother to care for these 3 young kids and figure out a way to provide for the income and give us that safety and security that we needed. And that for me was the biggest, block, obstacle, if you will,
Yeah.
on my path. But here's the thing. I'll never forget the experience and how it pushed me into a different place in my life. I really hit a low place. I went to depression, anxiety was overcoming. I really didn't feel like I had what I needed. I said, how am I going to make it? And I used to go into my bathroom because that was the only place in my house where I felt like I could hide out from my kids. And those of you that have young children, you understand.
Yeah.
And I remember one day in particular, I was literally laying on my bathroom floor crying, this tears streaming down my face. And I'm like, why is this happening? And I felt like I did everything I could to create this amazing life for myself and my family. But then one day I met my mentor and he said something to me that really rang a bell. He said, Diamond, if you don't believe in yourself, how can you expect anyone else to believe in you? If you don't invest in yourself, how can you expect anyone else to invest in you? And that's when the light bulb really went off for me. And I recognized, you know what, he's right. Up until that point, I was looking to other people for validation in my life. I was looking for other people to give me that opportunity, to demonstrate my modeling skills or, to pursue my dreams in entertainment. I was looking for other people to promote me to the C-suite and give me that opportunity, to be in that leadership position. And even in my marriage, I was looking for happiness and security in my partner for him to be able to provide and really care for us and lead the family. And so what I found through that conversation was, he's right. I have to first believe in myself. And that need for, validation has to first come from within. I got to believe that it's possible for me to succeed. I got to look within and see what my unique talent, skills, and abilities are. And that's actually what put me on the path that I'm on today of personal transformation. And one of the first things he talked with me about is how I can begin to really shift my mindset surrounding, how I view myself in the world. I decided that in order to provide for my family, to be there for my children, the entrepreneurship was really the way for me. And already working a 9 to 5 and putting in lots of hours,
Yeah.
I didn't see any space for me to take on another 9 to 5, for example. And so entrepreneurship was that outlet. But he said, before you can begin on anything in terms of the, creating business plans or, apply for that LLC, we got to get your mindset right. And so what I did was exactly what he said. I invested in myself thousands and thousands of dollars in mentorship and coaching programs and masterminds, master classes, all the things, because I wanted to understand what allowed me to get to that place in my life. I already considered myself to be an optimistic, outgoing person, but there was something that disconnected. There was something inside of me that I allowed myself to not really believe and not really come from within to actually break free from those things, hold me back, and get things done. And that's what put me through the process of transformation of the mindset. I understood through all of that training, through all that investment, that I truly already had what I needed inside of me. I truly already had those skill sets, and it was really up to me to believe in myself, invest in myself, and take action. And so that's what I did. I created Diva Entertainment. I founded that LLC, and I said, you know what? I'm no longer waiting for someone to put me on their project or put me in their event. I'm going to create my own events, and I'm going to be able to open up space for other people to pursue their careers. I said, you know what? I'm no longer waiting on someone to promote me to the C-suite. I am the C-suite. I am the founder and the CEO of my company. And most importantly, I now have a way to provide for my children and even leave them a legacy now. Give them something that they can hold on to, something they can build upon so they can have that safety, financial security, and a future as well. And so I'm just really grateful for that journey. Those things that some people call obstacles were actually opportunities in my life. Because if I had not been in those low places, if I hadn't hit those glass ceilings, I would not have looked within. I would have kept looking to those other people to give me what I thought I needed.
And having those other people to put the gas into your engine.
Exactly.
What is really important is when we have to sit down, and sometimes I feel the same way. When you come down to your lowest point in your life, actually that lowest point is the beginning of a whole new journey that can skyrocket you to learning so much. Never mind about yourself, but about so many other people too. right? Of who's around you, who is going to be bringing you up, who's going to be pushing you down, maybe what type of tweaks you need to do with yourself, with your life, with your friends, with your family. And here's the one thing that I also, because I'm for most of my life was a single mom, even when I had other men in my life. But the one important thing that I saw as a strong woman was is what I taught my children by not actually as they were very young, even seeing what I didn't purposely do it, but they were watching. And that's what I always point out to a lot of mothers is be careful of what you say and how you do things, because it's those young ones. They are so bright and so smart. They are watching everything you're doing. And it's that you're teaching them their lessons for their life.
Absolutely, yes. And it's the actions that you do. And that's the thing that people have to understand with that personal development journey. I realized that first it was a mindset shift, that belief. And then I had to take action and really step out on faith. And I started Diamond Diva Entertainment with $500 in a dream. And to your point, there was people who did not believe in me. They said, "Are you crazy? You can't do anything with that. Who are you to create this entertainment company?" People who I thought, were my closest friends and should be supporting me, even family. And of course, like I said, even my ex-husband did not support and provide for us. And so I truly found out, like you said, that awakening of who's really around you. And I said, you know what? This is actually a blessing in disguise. And now I can look back on it, as they say, hindsight is 2020, and really recognize that, it was actually for me to go through this, because it created an opportunity for me to really dig in deep, connect with my why. My first why, of course, being my children, and my second why being to share the power of mindset. Because I said, you know what? I don't want anybody else to go through this process that I went through, to feel like they have to hit the lows, to hit the walls, to find themselves stumbling and falling, to actually break through and achieve their goals.
Wow, you're talking my language, because you know what, it's why do I do the things that I do is because of going through all of this that I've gone through my own journey, and thinking to myself, having that power and having that energy and not being able to stop because I needed to, for me and for my children, but most importantly thinking to myself, nobody should have to go through this alone. And that is so important. Of learning, one thing that I always say is reach out and you ask. Nobody, you don't know unless you ask. And if they say no, that's fine. If they say yes, then you're laughing. So talk to me a little bit about mindset, how you built your own mind, because I believe everything starts with a good positive mindset, with a strong mindset, because if you don't have that mindset, it will destroy your relationships, your marriage, if you're too needy or too, you're depending on somebody else, your business, it leads to everything in your life. Let's talk a little bit about mindset.
Absolutely. You nailed it. Mindset is truly the foundation for everything we do in our lives. And, I want to address a couple of myths about mindset. Some people think that mindset is simply positive thinking. And I will tell you, that's a great place to start. I mean, the opposite is not so good. Negative thinking really doesn't get you where you want to go, but it's much, much deeper than that. And if you really start diving deep, you understand that mindset is actually a science. It's understanding how our minds work and how we can best utilize our brains, literally the most powerful thing in the universe, I might add, to the best of our ability, and really understand what are the things that motivate us. What are those things that we have created in our minds that may not be the right thought process or belief structure or patterns of behavior that don't empower us to get the things that we want done in our life. And so mindset is really about doing that introspection and then learning the techniques, the tactics, the tools that allow you to create those empowering state of mind. And that's why I love it, because when I went through that process, I fell in love with it. And I said, this is a game changer. Everyone needs to know about this. And if you Google mindset, for example, you don't actually find the actionable information that you can use. And so that's what led me to create the next business, which is my Diamond Mindset Reset Academy. Because I said, you know what? The entrepreneurs that I'm working with, the entertainers that I'm working with, literally every person that I came in contact with, they needed a mindset shift, right? And
Absolutely.
I said, this service is not widely available. People do not actually know that is a solution for them. They believe that they're just held captive to those thoughts. They believe that they truly are limited by those belief structures and those constructs in their mind. But the truth is, a lot of the things that we fear, a lot of the things that we believe are true, are not in fact true.
They're not even there. We conjure up things that are not even non-existent, but they don't really believe. And the one thing that you have to be cognizant of, where it actually started. Where did it come from? What happened in your life? Did something happen? Something happened at a younger point in your life. You know, there's still that little kid down there that was told no, or was told that they had to be quiet, or was told that they were shy when they actually weren't, because maybe they were scared, or something happened in their life that made them, and it carried on throughout their life, that they need to tweak, or need to actually get through that block that they've actually been carrying around most of their life.
That is so true. And, it's that awakening and the realization that's actually the first step to that transformation. And so mindset really starts with clarity, with identifying, like you said, what are the things that are actually not serving me in my mind, in my life? What are the things that I can do to transition away from those things and actually create that empowered state of mind? And to your point about that young child that's inside of all of us, a lot of the blocks that we have are created in those early years. And if you want to go neuroscience with it, this is one of the things that I discovered on my journey. A lot of the things that you'll read surrounding mindset is really surface levels, like think positive, be happy. But the reality is there's a whole science to our minds. And if you just imagine for a moment the brain and draw a line down the middle, on one side, you have the conscious mind. The conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject information. It filters through what it receives. Some people reference it as the logical part of our brains. And on the other side, you have your subconscious mind. And that is the home of your memories, the home of your emotions. Right. It's also the part of your brain that runs the automated systems in your body. That's the reason why my heart is beating right now, and I don't have to say heart is time to beat, or my lungs are breathing right now. I don't have to say lungs is time to breathe. Your subconscious mind is responsible for running all those systems. It's also the home of your mindset, which is a collection of your memories, your attitudes, your beliefs, those experiences from the past that have created a pattern of behaviors. And it's actually your mindset, your subconscious mind, that drives 90 to 98% of your action steps. And so that's why on the conscious level, you can say, you know what? I'm ready to release the weight this year. I'm getting rid of those 10 pounds. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat right. But yet you don't do it. Why? Because in your subconscious mind, you have limited beliefs. You don't really believe you can do it. Or you have developed patterns that don't serve you, of, eating chocolate every night at 10 p.m. because it makes you feel good. And it becomes a placebo for something else that you feel like is incomplete in your life. And so we do these self-sabotaging behaviors because of the patterns we created, that mindset in our subconscious mind. And that's why it's so much more than just thinking really good. It's about really understanding what is happening in your mind, what's happened in your past, to your point, because in those early years, between the ages of 0 and 7, as the human brain is developing, your subconscious mind is wide open, and it's literally just receiving. There's no filtration happening because your conscious mind is not developed yet. Once you hit age 7, the conscious mind starts to be formed and filter some of the information. But here's the thing. Your subconscious mind is still in receive mode. So if you find yourself in environments that are, displaying behaviors that don't serve you, you have negative people around you, you have, anxiety and fear and seeds like that being planted from your environment, those seeds are still planted in your subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind, it does not accept or reject. It only receives information. And it does not even distinguish between what is real and what is not
real. Yes. And it allows it to permeate through in there. Yes.
Exactly. And that's why we can create things that aren't true and believe them. And we can feel it in our core like this is the truth. When we act in accordance with it, we believe it, but it's not actually true. It's something we literally created in our mind.
But creating it in their minds is it is the secret of it all, of actually for making it to become real.
Absolutely, yes. That is the first level of creation. Everything that we see in a reality, the Zoom call, all the things, the iPhones, all the products and services that humans have created, it all started as thought. And that is the secret. I love what Bob Proctor says on this. He says, thoughts become things. If you think it in your mind, soon you will hold it in your hand. And that's why we have to be intentional about our thoughts. And mindset training will allow you to understand how to be intentional. And instead of having random thoughts coming through that don't serve you, instead of creating these thought processes and patterns that don't serve you, you begin to shift and be in an empowered state of mind so you actually can create the things that do.
So we learn that if once you start to wanting to create something, the whole idea is to have some type of an end goal in mind. So part of this is how you and I are totally on the same page, and I love it. Learning that, like you have created your Diamond Entertainment. And so obviously you had an end goal in mind. We don't always need to know how we're going to get there, but it's learning that once you have a goal in mind, if you take that first initial step, which is something that comes to you, it doesn't matter how vague it might be, but it's that one step that all of a sudden things actually do come to you of what your second step should be.
That's huge, Glenda. And I'm so glad that you brought this up. And we are synced up here and aligned because, that's the thing that trips a lot of people up. Once they make that decision and they recognize and they acknowledge, okay, I have these patterns that don't serve me. I need to believe in myself. I need to take action. And they set their goals, they set their intentions, but then they get caught up in the how.
Yeah.
They get caught up in the how, and they start falling to things like analysis paralysis, and they start becoming, fearful, even because there's a whole process that happens in your brain when you go down this path. You see, the brain is the secret to all these things, which is why I ended up going deeper within neuroscience and studying things like NLP and timeline therapy and hypnotherapy, because I had some weeds, if you will, in my subconscious mind that were deep. And if you think about just for a moment how the subconscious mind works, the subconscious mind, I like to describe it as a garden. It's a garden with fertile soil. So whatever seeds that you plant in that garden will grow. So if you're planting the positive seeds, the fruits, the vegetables, the flowers, those amazing goals for yourself, they will grow. If you're planting the negative seeds, the fear, the anxiety, the frustration, the doubt, just like weeds in a real garden, they will grow
too. Yeah.
And if you don't de-weed your garden, guess what happens? Those weeds take over. And as you know, weeds don't need a whole lot of support to grow. They don't need you to go out and water them and give them sunlight. They grow rapidly and freely. And the same thing happens with the negative thoughts in our mind. In fact, I read a study that said for every one positive thought we have, for every one negative thought we have, it takes literally thousands of positive thoughts to replace that one negative. And so the same thing happens with those weeds. And so why is this important? Well, when it comes to goal setting, if you have the weeds, they're going to crowd your path. And if you get too caught up in the how, something else will happen as well. It's going to trigger the sympathetic nervous system of your brain. And the sympathetic nervous system is the fight, flight, or freeze part of your brain. It releases this chemical called cortisol, which is a stress and anxiety hormone. And you start getting panicked, like, this is too big. I don't know how I'm going to do it. This is not possible. And so what most people do when that sympathetic nervous system is kicked in is they back off.
And they freeze.
And they freeze, or they do those self-sabotaging behaviors so they don't actually have to face it and do their goals. And so the key here is to do exactly what you said, Glenda, and to take a step back. And instead of looking at every single step on the path, set the intention for the goal and just look at the first step. One.
And there's the other thing is we have to realize, and if you're looking at the garden, when you plant that seed, it doesn't automatic that the flower emerges or the fruit comes up. It takes time, it takes loving, it takes care, it takes nurturing before you would even see it coming up from the ground. And you have to realize with your ideas and whatever you're looking for in your life, it's not going to just happen. Sometimes it's going to need to be raining a little bit for it to come out. And that's, we have to go through all the weather no matter what. But if we keep going on and giving that little bit of nurturing and loving, you're going to start seeing something spreading. Something starts to happen, but it doesn't have to happen all at once. People tend to lose that the momentum of going forward because it hasn't appeared the way they think it should be appearing.
Absolutely, yes. And they move into this state oftentimes of anxiousness. And that anxiousness often breeds scarcity. Right. And that scarcity mindset is actually the number one self-sabotaging behavior to actually receiving the thing that you want, because scarcity breeds more scarcity. Your focus is now on the lack, that thing that hasn't happened yet, or that flower that in your mind hasn't sprouted or grown yet. So here's the secret. You take that first step and you continue to water the seeds that you want to grow. And so the way I like to describe it is this: you develop the daily habits of success. You're not just sitting around waiting for that flower to pop up. What are you doing during that time? You are preparing yourself for the harvest. And that's where all the great things that people often associate with mindset come into play. That's when you're doing your daily affirmations, you're doing your meditations, you're doing your visualizations, you're preparing yourself so that when you receive that flower, you're able to tend to it, you're able to care for it and nurture it so it continues to grow. And the way I like to, kind of give people a wake up call on this: why is it that people who hit the lottery 5 years later are often broke?
Yeah.
Right? How is it they hit these mega millions and they're broke?
And they have no money.
They weren't ready for it. They weren't prepared. They didn't take the time to get clarity about what it is that they want to do. They didn't take the time to invest in themselves and gain the financial knowledge to know how to make that money grow and to be able to use that money and leverage it so they could build a legacy. They didn't take the time to prepare to receive it. They receive the money and they lose it just as quickly because their mindset wasn't in the right frame of mind to receive it and continue to nurture and grow it. And so that's why it's so important. This time is not wasted time while we're waiting on the flower. This is actually the most important time, because if you receive your blessing and can't keep it, for many people, that's actually worse than not receiving it at all, because you want to keep that thing. You want to be able to nurture it and allow it to blossom and continue to be a positive force in your life.
That's why it's really important to start looking at your habits, good and bad. We have to start recognizing what we do have and what we don't have. We build on our strengths and we can do things about our weaknesses. We all seem to look at those weaknesses and we allow them to grow because we get so worried that we're not going to be able to deal with it. But there's so many different ways, like especially in business. If you're weak in an area, you can hire somebody to do the things that you're weak in, and you can work on those strengths to even make them stronger. So it changes what we need, what we actually have around us, instead of sitting there and focusing on any type of a weakness that we actually encourage to grow more and become stronger in your weakness, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, yes. My favorite quote on this is by Aristotle, and he says that success is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do.
I love
And
that.
it's what you're saying. It's about making sure that we're mindful of the things that are serving us and not serving us, and really leaning in on creating the habits that do. And if you see an area where you need improvement, that's not cause for panic. That's not cause for judgment. That's an opportunity, right? That's feedback that this is an area that I can focus on to improve. This is a space where I can invest in that financial knowledge, using the example of the lottery winner. Or that's a place where I can hire that fitness trainer who can help me stay on that exercise routine that I need so I can release the weight. Or get the mindset coach who can help me with my mindset block so I can actually move forward in an empowered state of mind.
Right. Or get your accountability partner, or joining in, and all sorts of things. We're so lucky that we're living in these times, because, even if you don't have the money to go out and get yourself somebody to, like, an exercise coach or something like that, you still have the abilities. You go online on YouTube and you can pull up an exercise class at any point and you can do it for free. And, maybe then you get a best friend to sort of to edge you on each day. Have you exercised? Have you done your meditation? Because we're not in a journey that we have to do it by ourselves. The whole idea is connecting up with other people who are of the same mindset to help you build yourself.
And that's absolutely the key to success as well, because what happens is that network, the people around you, are actually the number one influence on your mindset. So if you think about that earlier example about how the brain is formed, the number one factor in how your mindset's created, those patterns, those belief structures that you have, is due to your environment. And the people specifically in that environment are the ones that create those early ideals and continue to influence you, which is why Jim Rohn's quote is true, that you're the average of the 5 people you spend your time with. And
Yeah.
so it's really, really important that you take a look at that circle as well, because that circle, even though consciously you say, well, they're their own person, we're all adults here, I choose and I do what I want to do. But subconsciously, the subconscious is always listening. And so the habits that they're displaying, their ideals, their energy, even, those are being deposited in your subconscious mind. And if you don't recognize that, if they're depositing seeds that don't empower you, over time, you're going to notice those weeds popping up. You're going to be like, where did that come from? That's not how I think about things. And that's something that you want to be mindful of as well. And I will tell you my own personal journey. This is one of the biggest challenges that I had, because I really depended heavily on the people around me to support me on all the things that I did in my life. I'm a very loyal person, so I thought surely they're going to be there for me. But what I found was this: in order for me to really make that shift, to transform and get where I needed to go, that I also had to look at that circle and make some adjustments there to actually be able to have space for the people that served me in my life. And my grandmother actually told me something about this early in life. I didn't really understand it at that young age, but it's something that I carried with me. And it was so true what she said. And she said, some people are in your life for a reason.
Yeah.
And some people are in your life for a season. And I never really understood why she told me that, but I get it now. And it's true. Not everyone is going to be on the journey with you from start to finish. Not everyone.
Okay.
And it's okay, because some people are in your life for a reason and some people are in your life for a season. And whether they're for a reason, for a season, or whatever choices that they make, you have to make the choices for you. You have to think about what they tell you on the airplane. Put your own oxygen mask on first, because at the end of the day, you have to live your life to the best of your ability in alignment with your vision, with your mission, with your why. And trust me, when you open up space, when those people who's remove themselves, or if you choose to distance from, when you have that space, you will open up opportunities for the right people to come into your life, for the right opportunities to come in your life. And just like you were saying with that first step, once you take that first step, the next one will appear.
It does. It's really crazy. And, some people don't believe, they think it's, you're just talking this woo-woo stuff, but it's very, very true. And you know what? I love what you said. And I agree. And I say it full-heartedly to everybody else. When something happens to you, you do have to look around. You do have to do an inventory of who is around in your life, who is bringing you up, who is bringing you down. It's just as simple as when you get on a telephone conversation, when you hang up, how do you feel? If you feel empowered, if you feel strong, if you feel happy, then that's your message right there. But if you hang up and all of a sudden you feel disempowered, you feel you're starting to question yourself, then I tell you again, make that question, let it sit with you and resonate. Sometimes it's a very hard decision to make. And it can be somebody, even as, it sounds terrible, but even your own parent could do something that is pulling you down. And sometimes it's, we don't want to push away people in our lives, but sometimes even a little bit of a distancing, or maybe sometimes even in a conversation of when somebody gets into that, into that conversation where they're pulling you down and starting to disbelieve in you, you have the ability, remember the power to say, what, I gotta go now. I can't carry on with this conversation. It's great talking to you. Goodbye now. And you don't have to be rude and mean and all the rest, but you have that ability to start allowing the good people in your life to come in more, and the people who are not empowering you or disempowering you around the way, to push them a little bit away from you.
Yes, I think that's so key. And people really need to hear this message, especially now. And, the way I like to describe it is this. First of all, you're right. You have to lead with love, because one of the things that I've learned is people do the best they can with what they know at the time. And so not everyone, like you said, understands this mindset journey that we're on. Not everyone recognizes that this is science, this is proven, this is true, it's not woo. And so they have their own opinions about it. And this is a normal human behavior. There's this process that people do in their minds. It's called projection. And so what they are doing is, in their minds, they've never seen anyone achieve the thing that you're doing, or they don't understand the concept of mindset and the journey that you're on. And so they're going to project upon you their own limiting beliefs or fears about the situation or the action steps. Some people may not even want to see you succeed. They may have, some other malintent. And regardless of where they're coming from, whether it be from a place of love where they just don't want to see you hurt for doing something that they've never seen done before, or if it's coming from an ill intent, the bottom line is their projection, their perception is
Right.
not your reality. And it's not even your responsibility to be concerned about what it is that they think about you. Your concern is about, do I have the clarity in my mind about what makes sense? Have I established my why, my purpose, and my vision and my mission? And like you said, we have this most powerful thing in our mind that separates us from all the other animals in the kingdom, and that's the ability to choose. We have a choice factor. We literally get to filter out what we think, what we do, what we create, the action steps that we take. And that's extremely important to exercise this. And I like to describe it like this: we're in the era of social distancing. So just imagine that 6 feet around you. Anybody that you allow within that 6 feet, you have to question, you have to vet them and see, are they in alignment with my goals? Are they giving me the energy, like you said, when we get off the phone? Do they make me feel good about me? Or is it someone that makes me constantly feel bad, or think things that are inappropriate, or put me in a state of mind that doesn't serve me? And if anyone comes within that 6 feet, gives you that negative energy, then you have to reassess. And yes, you want to literally social distance from that person. Well, sometimes people say, well, what is a family member? What is a friend? You still love them. You still love them, and you distance where you can. But here's the greatest gift of all. In our mind, the law of insertion says we can create our reality. We can create the thoughts. So even if you're in a situation where maybe it's a coworker and he can't seem to get away from, or maybe it's a family member, somebody that lives in your household, make a safe place in your mind. Create that bubble, that 6 feet in your mind. And so when that person comes around and they're bringing that energy, be prepared in your mind so you can transmutate that energy. Meaning, take that energy, instead of internalizing it like we often want to do, and allowing that seed to take root and plant, you immediately take that energy and you push it back out with love. You don't allow it to stay there. You don't allow it to take root. You don't allow that thought that you can't do it to take hold and become a part of your belief structure. You recognize it for what it is. Because sometimes people say, what they offend me, what they say something hurt me. Well, you're human. You're human. You may be offended in that moment. You may feel sad in that moment. But here's the good news. Just like in that moment you're sad, you can choose to shift your energy and say, you know what? They're doing the best they can, what they have at the time. They're projecting upon me. This is not my reality. I know what I'm here to do. I have that clarity. I have that belief in myself. I'm going to take this negative energy and I'm going to transmutate it into something good, whether it be literally giving that love right back to them, or finding another outlet for that positive energy. But that's the power of choice. We get to choose. We don't have to receive it, no matter who that energy is coming from.
Perfect. That's exactly it. We have the choice of either accepting that and digesting it, or allowing it to just kiss it and wave it goodbye. And that's all that it takes. We have the choice. Is someone going to hurt our feelings, or we're going to turn around and say, okay, maybe they don't know any better. They mean well, but they don't know any better. And that's okay too, because as long as it's not coming from anything of a bad scenario, then you're doing well. And you know what? We realize that there's so much that we can choose and so much that we can't choose. So what we can't choose, and we have there's only certain things that we have control of. We do, at the end of the day, though, have control over ourselves and our own minds, and what we're going to feed it and how we're going to look after it and garden this seed that we've been given in our lives.
I love that.
Sorry. Yes. So I want to be very cognizant of the time and very respectful, and for coming on. And you are just a wealth of information. I love it. You and I are totally on the same page. And, can you give our viewers that are watching, a woman that is maybe struggling in her life, having been given some of those knockdowns and having that disability, if you would say, of not being able to get up right away. And listen, I remember when times came in my own life when you get knocked down, and sometimes pretty badly. There's only so much time that you can allow yourself to lay down and have a pity party. And then there's got to be something that pushes you up, and you've got to move on and create something. Can you give our viewers a bit of wise words of wisdom?
I would love to. And, thank you for asking the question, because I feel like there's a lot of people in need of this message right now. And so I want you to know a couple of things. One of the things that allowed me in my low point to make that shift in my mind was to recognize this, that imperfection is a symptom of the human condition. So if you find yourself in a place where maybe you made some bad choices, or maybe some things happen in your life beyond your control that put you in a bad state, it's not the time to pass judgment on yourself. Acknowledge it and see where you are, and know this, that there isn't a movement that can happen to transform and actually move you forward in your life. And so I want you just to take a moment, see where you are in this place, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to shed those tears, but know this, and I love this phrase, weeping will endure for a night, but joy come in the morning. How's that joy going to happen for you? You release those feelings. So a lot of times people feel like they have to bury them, that it's not okay to be sad, that it's not okay to be angry, it's not okay. That is a human emotion. And I want you to have that moment. I want you to release that energy. And once you have it out of your system, know that the next step is to take action towards your new beginning. And that first step is to understand this, that every single thing, even those things that you can't explain, even those traumatic events, even that thing from your past, even this current situation that doesn't look hopeful, all these things are happening for you and not to you.
I love it. Yes.
And
yes.
That distinction is huge, because a lot of people internalize and say, I must be a bad person, I must have did a bad thing. All these things are happening for you and not to you. And once you make that distinction in your mind, then you can start making the next shift, which is looking for the opportunity instead of the obstacle. Because that's the first step. You got to see, where is it that I can take an action step? Where is it that I can find that resource to support me? Where is it that I can move forward on my journey? And Tony Robbins says it best. He says, failure is not due to a lack of resources, is what we often think. I don't have enough money, I don't have the right people. Failure is due to a lack of resourcefulness. So this is the time where I would encourage you to be resourceful. This is the time where I would encourage you to look yourself in the mirror and start with acknowledging who you are. And I'm going to give you this one more quick action step, because there's a whole lot I could really say on this. There's an exercise that I have all my new clients do when they come on board. And this is something that I did so I could start to fill my own cup and start to believe that it was possible for me to succeed and break through my situation. And so in this exercise, I want you to write down 25 things that you love about you. Now, this is slightly different than the gratitude exercise. So I'm not talking about things external from you, like I like my house or things like that. These are things specific to who you are as a person. And so we're talking about things like, I love my personality, I love my intelligence, things that are specific to you. And once you have that list of 25 things, I want you to create I am affirmations. I am love. I am light. I am intelligence. I am compassion. And I want you to say those to yourself in the mirror, looking yourself in the eye in the morning and before you go to bed every night. Every single day. And even if you don't believe those words when you're saying it, even if you don't feel real good about it, even if you feel a little silly at first when you do it, I'm telling you, you're going to see a shift. And what you're doing is you're planting those positive seeds that you want to grow. You're reminding yourself that you are beautifully and wonderfully made. You're letting yourself know that you have qualities, you have resources already inside of you. And it's up to you to nurture and grow them so you can see that opportunity to use them in the world. If you want to be able to change your life, you got to change your mind. And you got to start from believing that you are worthy and deserving of that new life that you are creating for yourself. And those things that you think are an end, like I thought my divorce was the end of my life, I thought those lack of promotions were the end of my career. There is no end. It's actually the beginning. And once you recognize that it's the beginning, a new chapter for you in your life, you affirm yourself every single day. You take that first step on the path of making change, being in the change in your life, you're going to see that those other steps, those other opportunities, those other resources, those other people, those other steps in your path will appear before you. And that would be my advice to get you started moving forward on your journey here today.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. Absolutely.
Don't have to do everything all at once. As long as you're on the step of moving forward and you're not going back. And here's the other little bit before we end up leaving. If you do fall back, it's also not the end of the world. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just get up and then keep on, brush yourself off, and then go forward again. You know, it's just like the diet. People fall off and think that's it. That's the end of the diet. No, it's okay. We all hit little bits of the hole in the wall or in the road. We trip, but we get up and we keep going. So Diamond, you actually are a total diamond. Thank you so much for joining us today and for giving us such beautiful wisdom. Anybody who wants to reach out to Diamond, I'll put her link below the video. And, here's the thing, ladies. You know what? Life is all about just going with the flow, listening to what is happening in your life. It's not the end. It's a journey. It's not the end goal. It's enjoying the journey and dancing your way through as you can. When you fall over a little bit, stand up and say, okay, you know what? Maybe I should have just looked down a little bit further. It's all right. It's the path on which we lead. And it's how many times we can love along the way is what really counts. Thank you so very, very, very much, Diamond. I really appreciate it. And you are a wonderful woman. And I thank you for joining me today and giving some wise words to women out there. And hopefully something that you've said will hit somebody and maybe help them in their journey along the way. I hope you've enjoyed this today too. And, give us a little bit of feedback below. Let us know what is it that you've been able to take away today that maybe helped you to get up and move forward on your journey. Until then, I thank you very much and make today the best day that you can. Thank you.